Hey everyone, Steve from Fast Product Photography Services here. After you finish this video, if you need any product photos taken for your Amazon products, or really anything e-commerce, come visit us at Fast Product Photography using the link in the description. Thanks. Okay everyone, so today we are going to be going through a pretty simple lesson, but it's also an important lesson, and we're going to learn how to put shapes or put photos inside of shapes for, it could be done for various things, whether you wanted to do it as, let's say an ID badge, for example, put a person's face inside of a shape. But what we're going to be looking at today specifically is more towards putting features of a product inside of a shape for infographics. And if you're selling any sort of products, you can do this over and over. And the good news, it's very, very simple. So what we're going to do is we're going to end up with this finished product, starting with this main picture of the shoe, and then this side picture of the shoe. And I think in this instance, you could have, and this is obviously a silly layout example, but you could put genuine leather or something about the sole of the shoe, whatever you really want. That's not the point. It's more so about getting the actual secondary image inside of the shape so that you can highlight the different parts of your product. So let's get started. Okay, so here's the main shoe, and we're going to want to put a shape up here with the rear end of this shoe inside of that shape. So let's start with, we did a square before. Let's go ahead and let's do a circle this time. So we're just going to put a circle up here, and what you want to do is you want to hold shift to make sure you get that perfect circle. Okay, and um, basically the interior color does not matter at this point. We'll just leave that alone for now. So we're just going to hit enter and leave that as is. Now let's go over to the second photo, and we're going to right click on the layer, and we're going to go up and hit duplicate layer, and we're going to make sure that we put it into the document titled shoe, because that's the one that we were just in. Click OK. Now let's go back over to it, and you can see how that's now the top layer, but that's not necessarily how we want it to be. We want it to be inside of that red square. So you can see that it's already a little bit large. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to transform the scale, just make it a little bit smaller. And then we're just going to put it right over, just kind of so you can see where it's going to be roughly. And then we'll leave that as is. We're going to go back over to the secondary shoe layer. We're going to right click on it, and we're going to create a clipping mask. And look at that, it falls right into place, just how we want it. But you see how there's a little bit of a red area there? So we're going to go in and we're just going to move it over a tad. And of course, you can do other adjustments, but just for the sake of this, we're going to leave that alone, just for the sake of the video. But you can see how this currently has a black border. There's different things that you could do with that. For example, if you wanted to change it to a dotted line, for example, you could do something like that. And let's see. Well, in this one, it looks like it's a little bit out of whack. Let's see if we can. There we go. So if you just slide the pixels on the border, you can make it a little bit bigger, and you can see how it's not quite perfect, but with a little bit of adjustment, you can get it to where you want it to be roughly. So that's a good example there of kind of the types of things that you could do. But in this case, we're just going to leave it as a solid line, and we're going to bring it back down to a small border, and we're just going to zoom out. So now you can see we've got the secondary shape, or the secondary image inside of the shape. Now what we need to do is we need to get a line from the shape over to that particular part of the product. So let's go into the line tool, and we're just going to make sure that there are no arrowheads at this point. And let's go over to the center of the image. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to hit shift to make sure that it's a straight line. And let's see how that looks. So it looks like it's still a clipping mask, which is not what we want. So we're going to pull it back down, remake this one into a clipping mask. Okay. Let's go back to this line here because it didn't necessarily look when we look at it, it's pretty thin. That's not how we really want it to be. We're going to want it to be much thicker than that. So let's go ahead and let's just adjust the size a little bit. And in this case, I think it's going to be nice around 10 pixels. So let's make it 10 pixels. Okay. And I think that what we want to do is we want to have it a brighter color. So let's click on the stroke and we're going to do a nice bright red for this example. All right, and that looks good. And now we need to ultimately get this down to the part that you're highlighting. So for this one, we're going to go up to this little gear wheel here. I'm going to click on it, and we're going to do an ending arrowhead. And you can adjust the width and the length of the arrowhead. In this case, 10 pixels is going to look good, so we're going to leave that as is. We're going to go up to the top here and go straight down. Again, hold Shift to make sure that it's nice and straight. And hit enter. Now, this is looking pretty good so far, but we want to make sure that this is right on. So let's hit V so that we can move this around a little bit, and we make sure that the edges are nice and straight so that now you can see it's nice and perfect. And you can imagine the type of possibilities that you could do with this with descriptions around your shape or descriptions below or over, and you could put a whole bunch of these around the product. So it's pretty simple, but it's very, very useful, and you can use it over and over again. And I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.